We're here to talk about more Sunrise on the Reaping TikToks. I feel like everyone's just like so excited for the movie because we're getting all of these drops for casting, and on top of the book being amazing, the memes are just excellent. TikToks are incredible. People are so creative and so funny. And I feel like there's been a couple that have come across my For You page that I really want to discuss. If you have somehow landed here and don't know what we're talking about, Sunrise on the Reaping is the new Hunger Games book. It is about Haymitch's Hunger Games. We're getting a movie next year in November. It's all very exciting stuff. This first one also, like, it got me so excited about the movie specifically because the trailer is already insane. The lava forming, the flint striker, the snake and the bird, Woody's voice. Yeah, it's gonna be so good. And then somebody in the comments says, I'm pretty sure Woody is gonna be the narrator. Didn't he say in the epilogue that he opened up about his past to Katniss and Peeta? What if the movie is him telling them everything? I think that would be so sweet. I don't know if it's gonna, like, I sincerely doubt that we would start the movie and be like, Jennifer and Josh are sitting there and Haymitch is telling them the story. But I do think it would be amazing to have, I don't know, like hints of him as a narrator. None of the other movies have internal narration though. So I don't know if they would break the streak like that, if that makes sense, like kind of make it in a completely different style. But maybe at the beginning and at the end, if we could get a little Woody Harrelson voiceover, like, and I do think they have to bring them in for the epilogue. That last chapter of the book is the only thing that's its redeeming saving grace as far as happiness levels. Like, we're all heartbroken and sobbing through that final chapter, but at least it's like a tiny bit happy. Whereas like if we were to leave out the epilogue, that would be the most depressing movie ever. I'm trying not to expect them to be in the movie. There are ways that they could go around it. They're so good at giving us what we want. I love their found family dynamic, and I want to see them at the end of this movie because the epilogue of Sunrise on the Reaping takes place after the Hunger Games, like, trilogy. We need this closure. There were some other TikToks that, like, they're not necessarily Sunrise on the Reaping related, but they are Hunger Games related, and this is one of them where it said, this is the face of a girl who just finished an 1,800-page fan fiction about Finnick and Annie. It was written so well, I'm convinced the author is actually Suzanne Collins. I feel like this is the highest compliment that you can pay to a fan fiction author. It's like, I think you might be the actual author. I've gotten that a couple times before, and I was like, this is genuinely the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Apparently it's called Where Soul Meets Body. If you've read it, please let me know your thoughts and vibes. It sounds like it's absolutely devastating.
Suzanne, I'm so sorry that I liked that edit. It's just that Tom Blythe looks so sexy. I didn't mean it. Don't ever hurt me like that again.
It's that stare into the abyss at the end that we all really feel. I think it's such a funny joke on TikTok right now that Suzanne Collins wrote this book because we got too out of hand with the snow edits. Because she was like, I can't believe they've lost sight of the main point of the story, that this man is evil. And we all just fell in love with Tom Blythe. But it's so true. Like, I think everyone feels like we've been reprimanded a little bit by how much this book hurt us. This one absolutely is upsetting. Haymitch failing to blow up the 50th Hunger Games to save Beedy's little boy. Beedy successfully blowing up the 75th Hunger Games to save Haymitch's little girl. I'm upset and hurt. I feel like knowing that backstory is just like, it adds so much depth to all of the rest of the books. I don't know how Suzanne Collins did it. Like, I'm still in awe of how she like managed to weave these things together. Things that she wrote like a decade ago, over a decade ago. It feels intentional. And until she tells us that she knew all this information going into those books so long ago, I really do think she added it after the fact. And I just think that's such a masterful way of weaving it together, and I just think it's so beautiful, but it really hurts too.
Thank you all for coming to my impromptu concert. I'd like to start us off with a classical piece called The Police. Sing along if you know the words. For my next trick, I'd like to show you all how to mix a drink called a Molotov cocktail. Get your hands off me, I'm spoken for. You can get away with mass murder just because they've been doing it regularly for 50 years. You ever get into a fight with a goose? I've got 40 of them. You don't want it with me, I promise you that. I was a child and he was a child. Ah! And we loved with a love that was more than love. I in my Abernathy. On his birthday. I'd call you a Nazi, but you probably don't even know what that is. Y'all can kill me, but you can't kill my ghost. I want you in the narrative both. I don't give a Thank you.
I I love this TikTok. I'll haunt you and the narrative. It just so perfectly encapsulates the rage. I don't think Lenore Dove in the movie or even in the book was quite that unhinged, but overall the sentiment is there. I loved the comments. Lenore Dove is like Lucy Gray minus the survival instincts. Lenore Dove seen filibustering at the town square for 17 hours. I just think it was so, like, I love that TikTok so much. I think about it on a regular basis. The part of her talking about like, you don't want to pick a fight with me. Have you ever fought a goose? It's just so funny. I overall love this TikTok trend happening right now, but the Hunger Games related ones have been some of my favorites. I'm bored. Tell me your most unhinged Hunger Games theory. And I don't mean every name in the bowl was Prim's. I mean the absolute darkest your mind allows you to go. This is wild, but like, I could see it. Plutarch and Coin left the White Rose in Katniss's house so she thought Snow had been there and became more willing to be the Mockingjay, which is not outside of something that Coin would do. This one, I liked. Tigress used to buy Finnick, but wouldn't touch him. She would keep him safe from Snow, and that's why Finnick knows so many of Snow's secrets, which I do like that idea, and it would make sense. And then also Beatty won his games by blowing up the other tributes, but he was actually trying to blow up the arena way back when. I can't remember what number games Beatty was, but that would make sense. Like, I don't know if necessarily like him being in the Hunger Games was what would have brought him to that point. Like, he very well could have been in the rebellion when he was reaped as a teenager. This one's really dark. A friend brought this up and I fully believe it. Joanna killed her family so Snow couldn't touch them and they wouldn't have to suffer just because she won the games, which is super, super dark. But also Joanna does have like a bit of this like extra grit and darkness to her that doesn't make it seem like, I don't think she did it. I'm just saying. I don't think she did it. But it makes sense as like a potential storyline. Cinna being mentored by Tigress, I would love to know that. I feel like that would have been brought up at some point, but I do like that idea. This one, Snow purposefully left District 12 fence without electricity in case Lucy Gray ever wanted to return, which I think is romantic and I like that idea, but at the same time I think Snow's too brutal for that. And he actually wouldn't have wanted Lucy Gray to get back into District 12. He would have rather her starved in the forest than to let her back into District 12. He doesn't have a soft spot, in my opinion. This one was upsetting. When Haymitch dies, they'll bury him in his nicest suit because he'll have a wedding to get to. Why would you say that? Someone in the comments went, you didn't have to type this out and attack me. This one I thought was interesting. Haymitch purposefully went with Peeta and Katniss falling in love, so if either of them won, they'd have less of a chance of being sold after the games. Just didn't work out how he thought. No, not at all. But I kind of like this idea. We did not see any of this in Sunrise on the Reaping, where like Haymitch having to get rolled out every year to the Hunger Games and be bid on by Capitol people and stuff. And I'm glad we didn't see that. That would have been like really upsetting, but we all know that that's like a thing that happens with tributes and victors and stuff like that. So him playing that angle, specifically trying to look out for them, I did like that idea.
You want to talk about perfection? You want to talk about perfection, motherfucker? If there is one girl out there, if there is one girlie out there who I trusted with my Maisie, it is Miss McKenna Grace. Oh, the bitchiness, the comments, you're wearing that, but also the Haymitch, make him pay for it. Oh, you just know she's gonna f***ing devour. This is no longer the Hunger Games. She's eating too hard. You know when the casting is just so good that you have no choice but to just this team. I'm worried because I'm never going to leave that cinema.
McKenna Grace was my fan cast from like a long time ago. I'm honestly so shocked. I don't think I've ever gotten a fan cast correct in this way in my entire life. She's gonna do so good. The main thing that I've seen her in was young Sheldon, and she played like rebellious so well. Like, I loved her in that role. When I was reading Maisie, I hadn't seen the fan film, so like I didn't have the Maisie and Haymitch from that fan film in my brain the way a lot of readers did, and so I was kind of picturing someone very much like McKenna Grace. And then when I was thinking about a fan cast, I was like, oh, she makes so much sense. She's the right age. And then they cast her, and it's so amazing. I'm so excited. She's doing such a good job. Talking about like the little comments, the asides, like it's gonna be so good because she can master it. I don't know what it is. Like I feel like we all notice it. Like we can all see her being like, she's so pretty and like composed, but also just like she can give off like that judgmental vibe. And I think it's gonna be so good. Oh, the scenes with Drusilla are gonna be so good.
Thank you.
Nice shooting, sweetheart.
That is genuinely so accurate. Like, they did such a good job. They've always done a good job with casting for these movies, but I feel like they have just been spot on. And maybe it's how they're releasing it, just like one after another of just like perfect casting that we're all just like, thank you. Like, you nailed it. I love the comments. I hope the movie will be 4 hours long, and Lionsgate was like, not this again.
Wait. Place her in the tube. Now have them come for Cinna. Yes, make her watch. Forgive me, Rue. But we all know why you're here. Hyper-realistic camouflage. Decorating a cake. I see no difference. Take the fallen children. Turn them into werewolves. Gale sure is hot. It would be a shame if he came up with a horrifying idea. They adore how Peeta loves Katniss unconditionally. Hijack his mind. Tell them Finnick's backstory. Huzzah, the capital has surrendered with that last bombing. Send in Primrose.
It's so true. Like, this one's just general Hunger Games-ness, but like, oh my gosh. I don't know if I've ever actually seen an interview with Suzanne Collins, which is something I probably need to get on immediately. But I feel like she generally is like pretty private. I don't know her personality super well, the way that I do some other authors that are like really on social media. And I just wonder if this is how she feels when she's writing. A long time ago, I saw a TikTok where someone was like, Suzanne Collins at the end of a long day sat down and just started taking it out on Haymitch Abernathy, her favorite punching bag. And I was like, it's so true. Like, I feel like she knows how evil it is, and she's like, yeah, this is gonna haunt them for years, and then she'll write it anyways, which I respect, but it's effective. And right now, my favorite thing is all these young actors posting that they recently got cast in a movie for the summer, and everyone's just like, which role in Hunger Games are you? And there's been people being like, you know, there's other things than Hunger Games getting filmed this summer. No, there's not. First is somebody I've been following for a really long time. Her name's Kirby. She was in, I think, like a horror movie a long time ago, but I just think she's really fun. And then she posted that she was cast in something this summer.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait.
I feel like by the time I get this video up to you, they'll probably have announced Effie, like young Effie or young Effie's sister. But I feel like Kirby would be one of those roles and do really well with it. And I saw that, I was so excited. I do hope it's Hunger Games. Like, I would love that for her. I just feel like she has the bubbliness and the exuberance to bring to Effie's character. And then I saw this one. I don't know this actress. And people are like, you know, there's things other than Hunger Games. I was like, this girl is a near replica of McKenna Grace. You're gonna look at me and tell me that she's not Marilee. What? And yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm loving the way they're rolling this out, because we do have so much time until the movie comes out, and they're doing a really good job of like dropping us little breadcrumbs along the way so that, like, first of all, they don't get lost. Because I think, you know, if you don't keep up at least some of the hype, like obviously the fans, we're gonna be there. We're waiting. It doesn't matter if you drop anything. We're waiting. But then there's, you know, like the more casual fans who maybe won't stay as engaged if we're not constantly getting like little snippets and updates and stuff. And so I think they've been doing a really good job rolling it out and like kind of increasing that anticipation for the movie. I feel like most of the TikToks I see about Sunrise on the Reaping, though, are still people just like crying into the camera. I feel so bad laughing, but it's so funny. Like, we're all just so unwell over this book. But, you know, that's what holds a fandom together. The grief is the glue sometimes. I'm not sure who all has been casted by the time I put this up. As of right now, I think McKenna Grace is probably my favorite casting. But I didn't know the other actors, so I feel like I'm a little skewed. But overall, I think she's gonna crush it as Maisie, and I'm so excited because she's also kind of the comedic relief, and generally in books and movies, the comedic relief is usually my favorite character, or at least has my favorite scenes in a story. So I'm really excited to see that. Even though like she is a tragic character, she is very funny and just like absolutely sassy. Please like this video if you liked it, click subscribe if you want to talk about more book stuff. My name's Katelyn, thanks for watching. Bye.